Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Saturday morning, so you know it's time for another live edition of The Extra Point. Pure Culture in the house, the First Lady of Sports, and our official French Open correspondent, Tasha T. Sizzle, in the house. Tasha, before we get into some basketball and football, catch the people up on what's going on with the French Open. Our girl Coco is on the court, on the clay.
It is 4-3. Sabalenka's winning. She's on the serve. They're tied 40-40 for this game point. Coco got her tied up. It's 40 all. Let me see if she wins this serve. Oh, shit. Golf just hit it.
We ain't far enough in the show yet to be cussing. You're going to get us knocked off YouTube.
So it's advantage Sabalenka. First set 4-3, advantage Sabalenka.
All right, so we're going to give you live updates throughout the show. Tasha T. Sizzle is such a great multitasker. As I transition us in and out of these topics, she's going to give a gander of what's going on at the French Open with our girl Coco, a.k.a. the flag bearer. She did her thing with LeBron James on that boat. Very, very proud of her. Rooting for her to win. Tasha, let's start with a health update. How are you feeling? We're all invested into your journey back to 100%.
I'm still good, but y'all, I don't know what it is. I just have a dry cough now. There's no congestion. It's not even any phlegm. It's just a dry cough. I said, Lord, I got the old lady cough already.
Well, you're aging very gracefully, and glad to see you back on the men. Tasha T. Sizzle, it was a historic Thursday night for the NBA, both on and off the court. Let's start off the court, Tasha. A few weeks ago, I asked you what would be the best possible finals matchup for the NBA from a viewership and fan engagement perspective, and you said anybody but OKC and Indiana. Tasha, I'm looking down here at some numbers, and you look like Miss Cleo this morning because the world agreed with you. T. Sizzle, this was the lowest rated and least watched game one of any NBA finals since the Nielsen ratings were established in 1998. Did you hear what I said? Okay.
Yeah, I did. I'm waiting to answer your question because
okay, good. So for anybody who missed that show when you talked about that, can you reiterate why you may have saw this coming?
Because Indiana and OKC is not for the casual basketball fan. That is for constant NBA watchers.
Now you qualify as such. Did you watch?
I fell asleep. Come on, dog. You know, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I watched the first two quarters, tried to make it through halftime. By the time I woke up, something else was on, and I just cut the TV off. I don't see who won until the next day.
Okay,
but I do have a friend that works for OKC, and he says you could feel. He says, you know, he says not even one of the good shiny Mylar balloons. He said one of the cheap rubber ones. He said that's how you could feel the air coming out of that building as they started to make that comeback. And he said they was left looking like a testicle with the air deflated out of the balloon. His words, not mine.
Did you just compare the game one of the NBA Finals to a saggy ball sack? Tasha, it's not even 9-10.
He said that, not me. He said that. Again, this is a brother that works for the Thunder. And he said they were just literally sitting there. Well, I'm going to keep it clean because you said I have to.
Just for another 2-3 minutes. We got to get past that 2-minute threshold for.
He said they were sitting there like a sack, he said when the air came out of that balloon. He said, I know you don't have these. He said when you get a certain age, he said they look like a deflated balloon.
I won't confirm or deny that actually happens the older you get. But Swing Low, Sweet Chariot was not just talking about. You know what? Let me move on. we got some Black Girl Magic checking in. Good morning, Denise. Good morning, Martrice Hastings. Good morning, Melanie Taylor. Now, Denise, you're a sports savant. You watch Love Island instead, really? Now,
again, I told you this matchup is not for the casual fan.
Right.
And remember, I told you initially to move the needle, it was going to have to be Boston and the Lakers. When we saw that wasn't going to happen,
right? It
could have been OKC, Minnesota versus the Knicks. That would have brought the casual viewer in. But these two teams are, they're Midwest, small market teams that basically the only people that follow them are the people there.
Tasha, I saw a person that's on Memphis radio tweet the other day that this is a Sundown Town series. Yo, yo, we ain't all that invested.
Although OKC has a little bit more of us, and
right.
outside of the Tulsa massacre, Tulsa is the hood, and that's where the Gap Band is from.
And that's where there are several seasons of First 48 as well, to your point. Tulsa is like that. They get down. Good morning, Farrah. Now, Denise says, I'm going to watch it, but Love Island was getting good, and at first it was a blowout. This leads me to my next question. Way to go, Denise. Do you think the way the game one ended will help the numbers for game two and beyond?
I mean, I think it will. Because now people are going to say, oh, let me see what really happened. Are they really just playing this good? When in all actuality, it was a lucky shot, again, as you like to call him, the Halaban, by him, just like in the Knicks series. He really wasn't having like a good game. Like he wasn't just going off, you know.
He wasn't, right.
And he got lucky. And somebody said, I read this one, I took a screenshot of it. They were like, OKC's Achilles heel is at times they simply cannot shoot. And so when I went back and watched the end of it, it's like you have this big lead, 4 minutes, and then it's like y'all just went cold. Like somebody, what they always say, somebody put a lid on top of the net. Right. That's what it seemed like. It really was bad.
Right. Now, Indiana, let's start with Indiana. Indiana had 19 first half turnovers, and that usually is the catalyst for OKC blowing people out. But we've seen this several times from Indiana already of overcoming deficits. Let's go to the on-the-court part of history that was made on Thursday night. The Indiana Pacers became the first team in NBA history to overcome a 9-point deficit with 3 minutes left to go in the game. Tasha, we saw him do it against Milwaukee. We saw him do it against Cleveland. We saw him do it against the Knicks, and now OKC. Is it time for us to entertain the thought that Indiana's the best team in basketball?
No, they're not the best team. Again, just like in some of the previous series, it's those fourth quarter collapses that are going to undo OKC, because what that's going to do is when they can't shoot, you're going to force them into a half court game. And
Shea, he had a chance to go up 3 with the ball in his hands after a call that was missed by the refs that actually favored OKC. He clanked it. Rick Carlisle didn't call timeout, who's doing a masterful job during these playoffs. And the Halaban went and did what the Halaban does.
Right. I mean, as long as you can keep OKC from like having one of those big runs, because as we all know, NBA is a game of runs.
Right.
If you can keep them from going on a big run at the end, then Indiana will have a chance to beat them.
Are you predicting? Is this predictive of what you think will happen in the series, that Indiana will ultimately win now? Or do you think it's still OKC?
I'm still going to go for OKC. I definitely don't want to see the Pacers win the championship.
Why not?
It's just, then we have to be forced, because normally when you win the NBA championship, what do? Put you on TV more.
Right.
And y'all know I really don't watch a lot of NBA like I used to, because I'm just not a fan of how the game is played now. I want to see somebody get their damn teeth knocked out.
Yes, and you were very eloquent when we broached that subject about a month ago. But these finals have been more physical, Tasha. This has been more to your liking than some of the playoffs.
I mean, but it's not for nobody that I really want to see. Like,
yeah, and this also goes back to our conversation about superstar.
Exactly. There's no superstar power in these games. Again, everybody keeps talking about, is SGA a superstar? No. Is Halliburton a superstar? No. And those are the top 2 players on both teams, and I don't see either one of them as being a superstar.
You called it. Neither does the world. 8 million people around the world watch that game. 8 million, Tasha. More people tuned in to watch the 5th round of the NFL draft.
Right.
Then they did game 1 of the NBA Finals. That is egregious, and it goes to star power.
Like I said, Luther Vandross ain't gonna be. Don't you remember? Ain't no superstar.
No superstar. Let me ask you this: this new iteration of the NBA, we haven't had a back-to-back champion since 2017-18 with KD's Golden State Warriors. Since Kawhi knocked them off in 2019, we've had a different champion every year, and this year we will have a new champion. Do you like parity, or do you prefer a dynasty in these moments?
In basketball, I would prefer a dynasty.
The Pharaoh's watching softball. That's so disrespectful.
I mean, shouts out to the state of Oklahoma. Okay.
But didn't they get knocked off? Somebody ended their run. Texas Tech, I believe.
Texas won. I mean, you had Texas and the finals being played all within that area. Who would have ever thunk Oklahoma would have came through with something like this that wasn't on a Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Stillwater.
That's a good point. Yep, and Farrah agrees with you. Tasha, I agree as well as far as now. This goes back to our line of demarcation where you talk about diehard fan and casual fan. When you talk about the regular season, a diehard fan like me that's a Grizzlies fan, I like the fact that any year somebody can come out of nowhere like Indiana and be in the finals. That gives you hope as a diehard fan. As a casual fan, like the Super Bowl is for casual fans. The NBA final is for the casual fan, the wife of the sports fan, to sit down and watch. And they invite friends over who may not. Nah, man, it's not happening. And when I saw those numbers, Tasha, I immediately thought about you like, no, anybody? Like, okay.
Nobody's watching. I think they would have more viewership for game 2.
Yeah.
Than they did for game 1. It's just these are two. Yeah. I mean, and I'm not saying the product that they're putting out there is lackluster because you got the MVP who is playing. You know, it was a
well-played game.
It's the fact that it's the teams. You would have moved the needle more if it would have been the Mavericks in there.
I totally agree, and we're going to get to some Mavs talk here in just a second. Tasha, the Indiana Pacers. I wonder if you agree with this correlation. If they can pull this off, they're looking eerily reminiscent to the 2007 New York Giants. Everybody remembers them knocking off the undefeated New England Patriots, but remember they went on the road to Tampa Bay, knocked them off. Then they went to Dallas and knocked off the number 1 seed, T.O. Tony Romo, Creighton-led, Marion Barber and them, that first, number 1 seed Dallas team in that brand new Jerry Dome, knocked them off. Then went to Lambeau and knocked off the 2nd seed. I think they were like 13-3, 14-2, Green Bay. Like Indiana, they knocked off Giannis. They knocked off Cleveland, who was the number 1 seed. They knocked off the Knicks, who are better on paper. Now they got so you're not seeing that correlation?
No, because again, they beat New York on a fluke shot. So I would have rather preferred to, as long as the Knicks were coming out of the East, I would have been happier with the final series, and it would have made me want to watch it a little more.
I think Farrah just nailed what you said in your opening salvo. Put the game on at 5 p.m. Then folks can watch it, not losing sleep during the week for the series. Just saying, the NBA playoffs are brutal for a person who has to get up in the morning.
They're brutal for people on the East Coast.
Right. Because of
East Coast time.
Right. And for goodness sakes, if you say the game is starting at 7:30, why is it starting at 7:50? Like, let's get all of that Kendrick Perkins BS out of the way.
Just like y'all know, I of course I'm watching Stanley Cup. The last 2 games have been in the overtime, and I missed them both because they already come on here at 8:00, and I'm struggling. And then every morning I wake up, I'm mad and have to go back and try to find the hockey game.
Right.
And why this is the Stanley Cup, and it went into double overtime last night.
Yeah. Florida and Edmonton, they getting down. Like this is a good series, and you're right. I think it's a detriment to both leagues to have them start where, like, look, I'm at that age to where I'm not getting dressed at 9:00 to go nowhere.
No, and then they have to say, we can't have it too early because people on Pacific and Western Mountain Time is. Teams, if your team ain't in it, you shouldn't be benefiting from the time slot. Right,
1,000%. And on second thought, that's a lie because those people play college brackets, and those games started at 11 o'clock on the East Coast.
Thank you.
And they don't miss those college tournament games. They sitting at work watching those games too. So to your point, Tough, you can answer that. Is Perkins high on TV?
I don't know. His sound of his voice irritates me, Paul. And you know this is a long-going issue with him. When he talks, I cut it off.
Thank God the NBA on TNT is coming to ESPN. They got to boot that ESPN show, and we're going to get to that in just a second. Your boy Lionel, Tasha, you done talked that man out of a damn job. I'm blaming you.
I ain't did nothing.
You did. You scandalized his name for the last couple of weeks. You talked about the man's comb over last week, not knowing that he was 48 hours away from losing his damn job. Tasha, do you feel bad about it?
I feel bad because I don't necessarily think it was his fault. Not 100%. Now I'm gonna say 80% of that was his fault.
Really? You giving him 80%?
Yeah, man. But shouts out to this y'all. This how he used to have a mullet.
That's Thibodeau?
Yeah, when he had hair. That's Tibbs.
He aging poorly. Damn.
It's not that he's aging poorly, that hair is aging poorly. I don't really necessarily, like I said, you can't put all the blame on him because, again, Kitty Cat himself.
No, we're going to get to him. No, man. This is the last thing.
You have players disappearing and not playing when they should play. But a lot of that is coaching. And as I've been watching the shows, they've been talking about how he will run his players into the ground. And as I told you, like a pack mule slave. You have a bench for a reason. Yeah. If your bench, if you don't think your bench is worth a damn, why are they on the bench? If you don't think they can come in and give you minutes and do what they're supposed to do, get rid of your bench.
Right.
If you're not going to get rid of your bench, you need to be a coach and coach them and put them in and give your starters a rest.
Rick Carlisle ran circles around him coaching wise from an execution standpoint. AP culture, did I say good morning?
Yeah, I think you did. I don't know.
I think I did too, but I just want to make sure I didn't. Okay, well then, good morning again, AP culture. Tasha, is Tom Thibodeau the J-Lo of NBA coaches?
I just wonder why it is that certain coaches, and we say this just like in the NFL and just like in college, why do certain coaches keep getting the benefit of the doubt? They get fired, they go on TV, and then they get hired again. And now they're trying to pilfer. Come on, Coco. They trying to pilfer Jay Kidd. Set him up for it. Well, they said he may be in the talks, for being a coach. But when he interviewed for y'all didn't want him. Y'all picked Tibbs.
Back then, y'all didn't want me. Now I'm hot. Y'all all on me.
Back then.
Now I'm hot. They all on me. Paul Wall's going to be performing in Frisco on Thursday. Speaking of
what
Texas.
What did
do? I mean, the man took the Knicks to the playoffs. 4 of the last 5 years. They made the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years. He won Coach of the Year in Chicago with Derrick Rose in them. He had number 1 seed, won 62 games there. With Minnesota, they had success. Why can't he keep a man? Why can't he keep a job?
And I blame him for tearing up Derrick Rose's knee. You knew his knees was weak. He was wobbling. All them minutes on him. I blame him for that.
And so I guess Rick Brunson, who's an assistant coach on the staff, and his son,
he only did that one game when he emptied out his bench. He did that one game, and they won in Indiana.
Yeah, and it was too little, too late at that point, though.
Too little, too late. Oh, anyway,
these people. He said, "There it is." Tasha, if you're the Knicks, well, first of all, let's go back to what you said about Jason Kidd. If you're Kidd, is this an upgrade over the Mavs job with no Luka?
Let me tell you something. Either way it goes, it's going to be drama filled. Dallas is the Mavericks are becoming the Cowboys, and we already know, like Dolan, how he runs the Knicks organization. I think they said the only 2 jerseys that are not in the Raptors are Oakley and what's the little light skinned guy? Oh, I can't say John Starks. We'll probably never see Oakley's jersey hung up in the Raptors. Look, it's gonna be an issue regardless because you gotta have tough skin to coach in New York. Tibbs had the tough skin.
He did.
He could take that, and some of the candidates that they're looking at, are they going to be able to handle what New York actually brings? Ownership, fans, media.
Yeah, scrutiny.
Exactly. The players, bringing the players, because they were saying that some of the players were upset at Karl Anthony Towns as well. But if your coach is allowing you to do what you want to do, whose fault is that?
Like, if you're New York, if I'm Thibs, I'm saying, who the F do you think you are? You remember the Isaiah Thomas years? Remember the every year it was going to be the year we get LeBron in free agency season, and it never happened. When you wasn't even making the playoffs, when you were fumbling and bumbling and stumbling over picks. You get Jalen Brunson, you get Karl-Anthony Towns. Now, you did overpay for Mikal Bridges. 5 first-round picks for unprotected is lunacy, but it is what it is, and you are where you are. I think that as constructed, you run it back and at least use your bench, you'll be okay. If I'm Jason Kidd, I got a reset with Cooper Flagg coming to town and the whole Luka thing looking like it may be a year in the review mirror. I don't know if I would take that job. Now, speaking of Karl-Anthony Towns, Tosh, I'm about to get on you.
And don't be on me. I ain't shoot the sheriff.
Yeah, you shot the sheriff and the deputy. Okay, so you sent a post, or Mike sent a post. Somebody sent a post to the chat, and there was a clip of Gilbert Arenas on Gil's Arena, and he's a former NBA player. For those who may not know, the real Yosemite Sam, while Jock Morant catches strays for that, the real Yosemite, gun-toting himself. He was critiquing Karl-Anthony Towns and his inability to play defense, and he basically said that he can't play defense because he's built like a B word. Built like a B word, Tosh, is that fair or foul?
I mean, it's foul because, Moses Malone kind of told Charles Barkley one time, "You fat as fuck, so we need to get you on a regimen." But he didn't say he was shaped up like a woman. I think that's not necessarily. That wasn't necessary for him to say that. I did say he could stand to lose maybe 10 to 20 pounds and put a little more muscle on. But to say that, I think it was kind of out of line. And that's coming from me. Like, you can't, because I know big people that can move around. You see what I'm saying? So you can't necessarily say weight or anything has something to do with it, but I just think Gil was just being Gil per usual. But you think he would be a little more gracious seeing how his son almost lost his life.
Well, I didn't even think about that. And good morning, Jody Coleman. Make sure y'all check out Against the Grain podcast. Make sure you follow him on all platforms. Tasha, I think the word that I used when I saw it was corny. This is my issue. And Jody, I'm glad that you logged on because I would love to get your thoughts on this. This is my issue with the coverage of the NBA. And I'm talking to two people who don't really care for the NBA, and Jody and Tasha. So I think that we can have a balanced conversation here. The level of disrespect that goes to these NBA players from the former NBA players is at an all-time corny high. It's like if let me ask you this, Tasha. If Karl-Anthony Towns was sitting on that couch at Gil's Arena, would he have said that?
No. I don't know. Gil is a tad bit petty. He might have, but I think it's easier to, just like us, it's easier for us to give the criticism because we back here.
Right.
But me being me, I usually pop off and just say whatever I need to say anyway. But I wouldn't. He was just out of line. But what else would you expect from Gilbert Arenas?
See, and that's the problem. And one of the reasons, and Ferris said, what is the number on that jersey? It's 45, baby. When I come back wearing the 4-5, it ain't to play games with you. It's to aim at you. Shouts out to Jay-Z. And I know what you're trying to do, Ferris. You're trying to bait me into an MJ versus LeBron, saying where's the LeBron jersey. I don't have smoke for MJ, okay? He's just the 1A as far as the GOAT conversation goes. But back to Gilbert Arenas and the NBA coverage in general, this is getting corny, man. Like, the level of disrespect that the people who are paid to cover the league are bestowing on these players, it goes back to LeBron James saying, why would anybody want to be the face of this NBA when all you do is get shitted on? And we hear like credible media members doing it on a daily basis, actively getting into beefs with the players. That's why LeBron James had to step to Stephen A. Smith like he did, because Stephen A. was getting out of pocket. Kendrick Perkins be getting out of pocket, saying that Anthony Edwards can't be the face of the league because he's a baby daddy, a type deal. Like, getting off into the weeds of disrespect, and I think that that's not only uncalled for, but not warranted. Is Tasha buying drugs on the show? Like, what's going on? Did you just order 8-ball while you're scratching your nostril?
I was leaving a message to the guy that's come and change out my gas tank. Okay, I was scratching my nose.
Did you order a key? What was going on? Is it that, what did you call it last week, that Tussie? You ordered you a bag of
that Tussie. That Coco.
Give us an update.
It's 5-5 in the first set. 30. She was down. She would have been down 2 points if she didn't make this point. I'm sorry, y'all. I love tennis and I love Coco Gauff even more.
Right, but you need to love this Goon Squad. So we need you.
Goon Squad, let me give your girl some because this is live. Goon Squad, I'm ready. Go ahead.
Tasha, Sam, you got me off whack now. Why is it that the NBA players are the only ones that are covered this way?
And I've said this, and y'all, I don't know if Mike got on my back or you got on. I just think this league is soft now, and they're opening themselves up to criticism because of the way that they choose to play.
That would have been me that jumped on you because I don't think that the league is soft. I think that these former players are just angry and bitter, and I want to know why.
But why are they so bitter? Why would Gilbert Arenas need to be angry and bitter? Why would Charles Barkley?
He never made a conference finals.
But why would Charles Barkley need to be angry and bitter?
I'm not talking about Charles Barkley. I think Charles Barkley is the exception that disproves the rule. But Charles Barkley isn't actively taking personal shots at players.
Oh, yes, he does. Where do you think I got street clothes from?
Well, Anthony Davis is always in street clothes.
Okay, so that's a personal shot. You can't.
But to call Anthony Towns a B word?
I mean, again, I said that was out.
Right, you did.
That your favorite can say this, but because he wasn't up to this level, he can't say this. Had Gilbert Arenas been all right up here, and had he been on better teams, Gilbert Arenas was that man. Now we can't say he wasn't. Yes, he was. Before he went all Yosemite Sam in the locker room. Check out Shooting Guards, y'all, the name on Netflix.
Right. No, but Tasha, we have to keep it real, though.
I mean, but the personal attacks as far as calling somebody a bitch is out of line. Now, if he would have said, oh, he built bad and he needs to lose some weight, that would have been different.
Right.
But just in this day and age, you cannot really, because first of all, he know Carlton Towns ain't going to do nothing. You can't call no real a bitch.
Right, because that's hand throwing accusations from our generation. Like you don't call another grown man that and not expect it to have.
Did y'all see where Chad was? Even though he was playing with oh God, what's his name? Played for the Steelers. Oh God, what is his name? Sasha, you need to help me out. I can't think of his name.
Okay, what are we going with the?
Well, they were playing about Chad doing a UFC or a boxing type match against him, and Chad called him a bitch. Whereas I do know that's kind of like a Florida thing too, where they do say bitch and this other thing. Chad was playing, but I got to go. I can't even think of his name.
So while you think about that, I want to post what my cousin Carl Tate said, and shouts out to Carl Tate representing Atlanta, Georgia. He said Georgia. He says this generation is soft. Therefore, the current NBA players are the reflection of this generation. Let me ask you this then. That NFL players of this generation aren't called soft though, or MLB players or
James Harrison.
James Harrison was crazy.
Exactly. And so when they were on the show, he was like, yeah, he said, bitch, I'll knock you out. Again, being joyful. I mean, joking. Mm-hmm. But you could tell when he called him a bitch, James Harrison was kind of like, hold up. And then he alluded to it later on in an interview that you can't call me no bitch.
Right. Like just as a man, like let's not do that. Like now, Carl, if y'all ever seen Carl Tate in person, and I'll put his post back up here, nobody called him no bitch because let's just say he built like that. But here's my question. Why is it just the NBA players that are called soft? We don't hear the young NFL players being called soft.
I don't really see a lot of young NFL players that are playing soft.
What does that mean? What do you mean by soft?
I mean, I just think this era of the NBA, the generation and the players are soft.
I'm just saying that's such an ambiguous statement.
Times. The only thing that I hate in the NFL is the constant calling for flags. But that don't mean that you can't be soft and be getting your neck knocked off or taking them blows. You can't be soft and play football. But I don't like the calling of the flags. But I don't think there are any soft NFL players. Do I think it's some bitches out there? Yeah, I do. But I wouldn't dare call a football player. But those are personal beliefs why I call somebody a bitch.
Right. And that's aside from the whole Gilbert Arenas thing, because that was in an attempt to go viral because Stephen A. Smith gave the blueprint. And that reminds me to come back to that. But to me, I'm just trying to hone in on what do you mean by
they are soft. I can't explain it.
These right, which is hard.
Pick me. He did this. I'm gonna tell. So offended by every little small thing you say or do to them. That's soft to me. Because I've said this before, and I don't care if y'all like it or not. I hate the term bullying. Ain't nobody bullying no grown ass man. They just fucking with you. I hate the term bullying. So
that's not a real thing to you?
No, it's not. I mean, to us, a bully is taking your lunch money. But how many times do we sit up and joke on each other or joke on people in high school? We weren't bullying them. We was just telling jokes. That wasn't bullying.
When Michael Jordan retired at the end of the 1993 season, a lot of that had to do with the negative publicity he was receiving for the Michael and Me book that came out and the accusation that maybe his death had something to do with Michael's gambling habit. And I remember Ahmad Rashad had warned the league that if y'all keep this up, you're going to run him out of the league. And he did leave. He mentally could not hold up to that. Was Michael Jordan soft?
That wasn't soft. That's the death of his father. That you can't compare that. It wasn't like, oh, his next door neighbor got murdered. That was that man's father who he loved and cherished. You can't say that. That's not even the same. So
well, hold on, but here's the reason why I asked that, because Anthony Edwards lost his mother and grandmother. Karl Anthony Towns lost his mother.
Who's calling Anthony Edwards soft? Nobody.
Gilbert Arenas? I mean, well, you said this generation is soft. You didn't provide any exclusion.
Anthony Edwards is not. Ain't nobody out here calling Anthony Edwards soft. Period.
Okay, hold on. We got a YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe, Bill. He said you don't think these kids nowadays need more bullying. I mean,
like I said, I think these kids need to be toughened up in this generation. You can't do anything. You can't say anything without somebody coming in. It's the PC culture that has made this generation soft. You can't say anything. You can't say certain words. Again, we didn't bully it, Pauline. You know, we went in on some people in our day. You think about it in college, how we joked on people. We weren't bullying people. We were telling jokes. As a difference, you're not going, as a grown person, you're not being bullied. And I hate that they said that. Come on, Coco.
All right. Now, Bill Weed, thank you for your contribution. That's the
first set tiebreak is set up now.
That's an interesting question, Bill. And we need to delve more into that, because need more bullying. I think that they're bullied more today than we ever were.
No, I don't think so. It's just the fact that it's being reported more. Because we didn't have social media and all that kind of stuff. Everybody in their life has been taunted or fucked with.
Not to the level of today's kids, though.
Because it's
not even close.
We got stuffed in lockers.
It's not that it wasn't being recorded. It's not being recorded, because if you got into a fight at school and somebody beat you up, you just went home and went about it, and a few people may have known about it. Now you come home and millions of people are watching it online.
Exactly. Like I said, it's because of social media, and people are not.
I think you have to be tougher today to be a kid today.
And they're showing that they're not. They're showing that they are not.
Look, all I'm saying is to provide the other perspective. It's easy for us to say because our every move wasn't recorded. If everything that you did, if you got beat up on the basketball court and then you came home and millions of people were watching it, sharing it, and jeering you, people you've never met before,
that would make me want to go harder.
I don't know.
It's not going to make me want to cower in no corner. We were just raised different. You can't even beat your kids now.
So Stiana says very soft. Stiana, but somebody explain to me what are you like as far as going back to the NBA? Why is the NBA soft, not others? Now, Carl Tate jumps back in. He says NFL players are being pushed early from Pee Wee to present by Generation X to be aggressive. We played dozens crack jokes. These kids doing TikTok.
There you go. There you go.
They are. But we also have to remember that LeBron James is probably the face of the quote unquote soft era, and he played with Shaq and Kobe and everybody in the early 2000s when it wasn't considered a soft era. It's just now Stiana's a teacher, and she has kids in high school, and she says they're soft. How do you fix that? Is that a reflection of upbringing at any point?
Yeah, it's a reflection of upbringing because everyone is being babied now. Everyone's being handled like fresh eggs that you don't want to crack. You have to let people go out, especially these children being raised there. You got to let them go out and experience the real world.
Like Jaden Daniels?
One of Sasha's classmates that she graduated with. Now, these people were affluent beyond affluent. And one thing his mom told me, she says, I have to get Matt out of this Brentwood bubble. She says, because our children do not think that it's a world that exists outside of Brentwood. Fair enough. That's true. You cannot continue to coddle children and make them think that this is the way the world is because you say so. They have to go out and
kids aren't coddling themselves, though.
And they have to go out and experience things. And I think that's the problem now. Everyone's just in a mode to try to protect everyone, that people are not being able to go out and experience criticism and know how to handle the criticism that they get.
Wait a minute, Tasha. Now, you've come on this platform and vehemently defended Jaden Daniels' mom for being
I did not defend her. Let's stop. Blow the whistle. I said what she does is creepy and it is in excess, but I understand it given the fact that you got idiots out here. You got Anthony Edwards with umpteen baby daddies. You got Zion Williams out here getting allegations against him for something he did 7 years ago because a girl got mad, all these different babies. You got Xavier Worthy out here who got beat up by his girlfriend. Where was his sisters at to drag her down the street anyway while we own things? Then you got people out here like Crazy down there. Yeah, I said Crazy down there in Miami. The Cheetah. Like, if you got a mama sitting around you ain't gonna have all these damn different baby mamas. Cheetah got allegedly 10 babies by 5 or 6 different women. So
you applaud that woman for being a helicopter mom, Tasha.
I said I don't blame his mom for doing what she's doing. In the same breath, I think it's a little creepy.
She's the umbilical cord character from In Living Color with Jim Carrey. Kids don't take embarrassment well nowadays. Mama, I love you, but it's different to get embarrassed in front of 5 people than to get embarrassed in front of 5 million people.
But still, if that was the only group that you had, that's still embarrassment. It doesn't matter.
It does matter. No, I think that does matter. I think it's a different level of pressure.
If you are in a crowd of 1 million and that's your audience, as opposed to being in a crowd of 5, if that's your only audience, it's the same embarrassment.
Right, but here's the kicker, though. But here's the kicker, though.
This new generation of children are being raised soft. That's why Anthony Edwards acts like he does, because he wasn't raised soft. He was raised.
Well, wait a minute, though. Okay.
He had to get it out the mud.
Okay, now I'm good morning, Lucian Rodriguez. He says, how could this possibly be the worst finals ever?
The markets, the 2 teams that are playing, Lucian.
The viewership was the worst. The Nielsen ratings are the worst. I wonder if you're OKC. Answer this for me, Rodriguez. Are you an OKC fan, an Indiana fan, or just a casual fan or a diehard fan? Because the way people are viewing this is dependent upon that. Here's my question: Why are the kids being blamed for the way that they were raised?
It goes to the parents and to the kids. Kids have to learn to develop tough skin. And that's what I said. You're not listening when I said they are being coddled like eggs. I said that.
Right, but
you're a product of how you were raised. That's just the way I see it.
Right. So I think that the narrative could equally be. I'm not saying. Look, I'm agreeing with what you're saying as far as there's a difference in the mental makeup of today's kids versus when we were being raised 40 years ago. What I'm saying is that it seems like one demographic is being absolved from any liability, any accountability for this, when these kids aren't raising themselves.
My child is of this generation now that's supposed to be considered soft. My child ain't soft nowhere.
Well, hopefully.
And my daughter has told me that people have talked about her and said stuff when she was in high school But did she say, "Oh, I'm finna spaz out. I'm finna do the unthinkable"? No, she took that shit on the chin and she shined their ass and she kept it moving.
Right, but people killed themselves back in our day too. There were suicides too. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like I think the older we get, the more we paint ourselves as being the picture perfect generation.
We were not.
Right?
We're just the generation that learned how to withstand a little more.
And to Farrah's point, it's hard for these kids. I think that there's zero empathy for.
And I'm one of those people that I do lack empathy when it comes to this generation of pick me, especially some of these. When you do go on Instagram and you see these people saying, "Oh, don't comment on no kid. It's a kid. It's a kid." Well, the mamas and the daddies is the one that's putting them out there. So you're opening yourself up as well as your child for criticism. And
she said, hold on. She says, "No, that's the people born in the 2000s and under." Said,
I mean, but Sasha, you're in that age demographic where if you was in the league right now.
She basically said, keep her name out of this. Now, Farrah says her son had it rough. Black son with two moms. Like my two dads. Remember my two dads?
But Farrah, but look at how you raised him to be strong. I don't know what he went through. Like, I don't know if you all had to do some sort of counseling with him, like if he was getting bullied to that point or, whatever, but you still raised him to be a strong Black man.
It says, she says, I'm hard, but my son is not. They are built different, Lord God. Now, do y'all remember when we were kids and our elders, our aunts and uncles would tell us, boy, what you crying about? When we were kids, we had to walk 10 miles to school in 10 foot of snow. And I mean, like, I just think that that's just the normal progression of getting old. I mean, the older you get, the more nostalgic you are about the way that you were raised and how the generation after you has it easier. Which, to my point, is always confusing as well. Because isn't it the role of each generation to make sure that their offspring have it easier than them?
Oh! I mean, yeah, you don't want your child to struggle or quote unquote struggle the way you are. Exactly, Farrah. Like Sasha and I, we struggled. I don't know if y'all watch Straw on Netflix. Of course, it's a Tyler Perry movie, so of course it was a little cheesy, but it did have a good message to it. And it's like they said, being poor is the most expensive thing. That's one of the lines from the movie. Sasha didn't necessarily struggle. I didn't allow her to see that we were struggling at sometimes because I kept my head level. I kept my head where I needed to be so my child would be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's a kudos to you. And my mom was the same way. I didn't realize exactly how much was on her plate until I moved out and got my own place and realized that it's not just paying rent. There were so many other ancillary bills that come along with living on your own.
Coco lost the first set 7-6 in the first set tiebreaker. So hopefully this will go 3 sets. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. And thank you for the update. I'm just saying that, like, even in our generation, like, I think every generation can do this to the previous one. Like, my mom actually told me the story of using a colored water fountain. Colors only water fountain. Like, when she was going to high school, the world was different, a whole lot tougher than when we went to high school. Like, and so we didn't have to face some of the things. And then her parents, my grandparents, their generation coming up in the 30s and 40s, and like, it was much tougher than when my mom came up in the 50s and 60s and we came up in the 70s, the 80s and 90s. That's just a progression of life, though, isn't it?
I mean, every generation, as you learn, you do better.
Right.
And again, I see some of these celebrities and their children. Are you raising your child to be strong? Or are you raising your child to stunt?
Right. And a lot of that, again, is just a product of how social media has changed the total landscape of everything. Now, Farrah says, we were raised by parents that were in segregated schools, and they were raised by first gen and second gen out of slavery. My Uncle Ursry, who was the most influential man in my life. I love my father, my biological father, Leon Coulter. He's a great man. But the most impact on my life was William Ursry. And he was a retired senior citizen when I was a kid, when I was a little toddler. And for me to listen to some of the stories of what he had to do, born in the early 1900s, the 1920s to 1930s, he's looking at my little problems like, oh, you mad because blah, blah, blah. You didn't have to grab scraps out the back of the alley or cross the street when a white woman was coming down the sidewalk. Like, there's levels to this, you know? I mean,
but
I'm just
what
saying, he's
gets
the
me
one.
is when they say, "Oh, you're bullying." Well, okay. Well, what is bullying? Well, he said this about me. We all had something said about us.
We did. And I think also that someone could have told us in 1996, y'all didn't have no hoses sprayed on y'all. Y'all didn't have no dogs sticked on y'all. Y'all didn't walk down and see your neighbor hanging from a tree as a warning for you to STFU and keep your head down. You know, did that make us soft? Like that's the whole correlation with the whole like soft narrative. I think that the fact that they are soft means that your generation who raised these kids did a great job. You know, I don't want them to have a life of a 1930s person, not today's black kids. And I'm just talking about black kids because we're black on the show and the people who are commenting. But for any race, I think that that's a reflection of you all doing what you set out to do to make sure that your children and grandchildren had it easier than you had. That's all I'm saying there. So I look at it as a compliment to my generation that they're not struggling like our grandparents did. My godfather and godmother were born in 1912 and 1980. What I learned from this, this generation couldn't handle. We couldn't handle being coming on over on the 1619 ship.
Oh
I'm just
no.
saying, I think like we couldn't have handled that. I remember when we used to say all the time in history class and in school and joking, it couldn't have been me. If I was a slave, I would have. No, you wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't.
You would have got your leg broken and thrown off the side doing the middle pass.
Your name would have been Toby. How many times would you have said Kunta?
Kunta Kinte.
Oh man. So I agree. And my nephew Carter is the great muse, and then we'll move on to the NFL. It's the great muse for this because he does have it easy. And that's a product of his mother and his grandmother putting in the work, the labor of love to make sure that he didn't have it quite as hard as they have it. Now, does that make them soft in a sense? Yes, it does. It does. And you all are absolutely right. And social media are keeping these kids in the house. They're not as active. They're not as outside. There are tangible differences that you can see that are different from when we came up. I don't see kids outside nowhere in Dallas.
Nowhere.
What the hell are y'all doing in the house all day?
We played in the heat. We drank out that hose, and sometimes there wasn't no hose. We drank out the hydrant.
And wouldn't change it for the world. You couldn't give me social media.
I can taste that taste in my mouth.
Yes, the little metallic, the little grass that's in it. Like I wouldn't trade those days for anything. My upbringing, that era that we grew up in, I think that we were blessed that our generation, our Gen X's, we were blessed to come in pre-social media and then to be adults in the social media era. We caught it good. Like we've got to see everything pre-COVID, post-COVID. When they etched like history in the lineage, we kind of saw everything. The tech boom, black people coming right off the freshness of the civil rights movement into black billionaires today. We were really fortunate. And I think that we're in an enviable position because they don't have any reference of what it was like before that. And we do, which we're blessed in that sense. But I agree with all of y'all. Today's kids, I don't think they could have lasted in Pearl Cone on the second floor. Jody and them was going to Dick Timbu. Go light your ass.
I remember when Timbu drew Miss Miller feet on the chalkboard.
Damn.
I never forget. And she used to tear Timbu ass, so she used to call him Tom Boo.
See, that was a great time to be alive.
R.I.P. to Miss Miller.
Right. R.I.P. That was a great time to be alive. Speaking of R.I.P., Tasha, it is official. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers have consummated their shotgun marriage. He sticked it in the ding-ding. And now T-Stizzle is acting like there's going to be a parade in the Steel City in February. Explain, Tasha.
Y'all know it pains me because y'all know if it's one active player that I hate more than anybody, it's old Aaron Rodgers.
That's true. She does.
I despise him. And the kicker from the Chiefs and Mason Rudolph. I hate them all three. I wanted to work simply because y'all know I'm not gonna ever bet against black. It's hashtag ABOB with me at all times.
It is.
I think because towards the end of the season last year, Aaron Rodgers did look better. I cannot lie and say, oh, he was still a piece of shit. I still think he's too old. But I think when you have a quarterback like a Aaron Rodgers, sometimes it's about the mentality. Just like when you had Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, Tom Brady was too old to still be playing, but it was Tom Brady. And I think when you have a quarterback of that magnitude, it changes the thinking of certain players. Oh, we got this guy. We can do this.
I received that.
I see Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh on this level right now where you got a defense that's up here, an offense that's mediocre, but exception of a few pieces. Because what's the receiver that went to Texas A&M at Tampa Bay?
Mike Evans.
Okay, the truth.
Hall of Famer, legit.
So you got some pieces in Pittsburgh because you got DK Metcalf coming in. You got some new running backs, some fresh legs at running back. Najee's gone now.
Right, but they did pick up. Is it Keon? No, it's Caleb Johnson, the Iowa running back. He's solid.
They got got him. I see them as the same team right now, and I think as long as they get it here mentally, I don't necessarily see them as Super Bowl winning. Okay. I think that window has closed for this particular tenure, but I do see them as being better. Tomlin needs at least one playoff win, in my opinion.
I agree with you there. If this move doesn't make them a Super Bowl contender, then why do it?
The offensive, I've been saying this for years, the offensive line is the Achilles heel, along with the piss poor quarterback play that they have had since Big Ben left.
Right, and they have struggled mightily since Big Ben left, and they haven't won a playoff game since then. But my question, but the reason why I'm asking is, if signing Aaron Rodgers doesn't put you as a Super Bowl contender, then why not go the route of a young quarterback and just start a new window? What does it accomplish on a one-year run?
Tomlin ain't got that time. He ain't got that kind of time. I'm pretty sure Tampa didn't think when Brady got there that they were getting ready to win a Super Bowl. Nobody saw that coming. And again, had Lyron did what he was supposed to do in that game, it would have been Green Bay in that Super Bowl. Just
scramble dog. Now, does Lyron, Aaron, to the people on YouTube and Rap and Stats, I'm going to get to your question here in just a second. Does he have better weapons in Pittsburgh than he had it with the Jets last year?
Of course.
You think so? Now, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, and Breece Hall?
Devontae chase a bitch, never chase a check Adams?
He finally woke up. He went to La. He's out there with Stafford and Puka.
Okay, and Stafford is going where with his career?
Stafford top 10. He's still top 10.
I mean, but is he going this way or is he here?
He's level. He's at altitude and about to take the seatbelt off and descend. I think he still has a couple of years of productivity over Rodgers. But my thing is,
but I think also last year, not to kick Robert Saleh, shouts out to the 49ers DC coordinator, the DC there. You got better coaching.
Now that is true. And a more stable organization. That is very true.
Because the Johnsons out there still killing people with baby powder who choose to use it as coochie freshener.
Wow. Okay. So what's the ceiling with Pittsburgh with a healthy Aaron Rodgers? Let's say he plays all 17 games.
If he plays all 17 games and he doesn't go in there with that nasty I'm entitled attitude.
I mean, he's going to go in there with he is who he is.
See, that's the thing. Will the Rooneys allow Tomlin to be the K.A. Psy, the brother man Tomlin, or they going to want him to toe the line and be a company man? That's going to be the difference because he's the one coach that can grab him by the back of his pants and say, get your ass over here.
I don't see the Rooneys putting a muzzle on Tomlin. We don't have any historical data to support that they would. I
think they have with some of the decisions that they made, especially in this past draft. I think they have.
Now, Nick and Rap, I'm coming back to YouTube. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. Great questions. Jarrell checking in. He says, if they don't block for old man Rodgers, he will be in that dark place again.
And that's what I said. It goes all to them not having an offensive line. They have not had a decent offensive line in the last 4 or 5 years.
That's true. And I just don't, I don't, if what Tomlin desperately needs is a Super Bowl run after the playoff utility. Like, we're not, and I think you're on board with me with this. 9-8, we're not doing the coach 50-50, not with Tomlin. Either open this window back up for another championship window or go somewhere else and start afresh. Like, this recycling 9-8, 10-7 over and over and over again.
You know what? I'll take a 9-8 with a playoff victory over an 11-win season and going home.
I would too. I agree with you there. I would too. I definitely agree. Now, Rapping Stats, make sure you like and subscribe. He says the worst, talking about the and that's our caption on the title for the show, worst NBA finals ever. You standing 10 toes down on that, Tasha. Because I don't think it's the worst. I know which one is the worst.
Which one you think is the worst?
The 05 or was it 04? 05 with San Antonio and LeBron James. That sweep, that was the worst.
You just mad because they lost.
That was the worst finals because of the teams that were playing. It was the biggest mismatch in NBA history.
I love Kawhi Leonard, the Claw.
He wasn't on San Antonio then. That was a different San Antonio
team.
But
I always rooted for San Antonio because that was my grandmother's favorite team.
You called it San Antonio, didn't you?
Yeah, we got San Antonio. Again, it's not the worst.
The brand of basketball, Rapping Stats, is beautiful basketball. The way that these two teams are constructed, they're both deep. They both have clutch players that, well, SGA wasn't clutch in the end. Now they're deep. They're basically mirror images of each other when Indiana decides to lock in on defense. Aesthetically, it is not the worst, but the ratings show that it's going to be the least viewed. Now, Nick T, shouts out to Nick T, shouts out to YouTube checking in today. He says, we are witnessing a brand new champion. To that, Tasha, you don't GAF, do you? You want to see somebody repeat.
Again, in basketball, I think it's better because it'll draw in the casual fan to have back-to-back or dynasty team. The only reason why I don't like Golden State is because of "Don't You Believe It" mouth. Other than that, I wasn't unhappy that they were winning like that. Like,
no, Bibby's Bay is saying, man, shut up. Look at the profile picture.
You got some snag apples down there with you?
Wow, nice. Just talking. That's what we do on the podcast. We just talk. Thank you for checking in, Bibby's baby. I wonder if he's an OKC fan. Not sure on that. So Tasha,
was he bullying me?
Right, like
was he trying to tell me to shut?
No, I think it was me. But to go back to our previous point, hey man, class of 1993, we built for this. Like, welcome in. We're built for this. Welcome in. We love you. Thank you for checking us out. Excellent profile picture. Shouts out to Bill Cosby. Jarrell Glenn says, I think the Pacers won their one and only game, Thunder in 5. Okay. Thunder. If you're going to have ratings like this, get it over in 5. Let us get on to the NFL.
Jay Alexander, Erica Alexander, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Thunder in 5. Now he says, Pacers in 7. Go Suns. Hey, no, we got Bill Cosby. We got Malcolm X jumping in. Shouts out Prince X.
His name is Prince X. Shout out to today would have been Prince's 67th birthday would have been today.
Wow. Shouts out to the high heel heavenly. I'm gonna leave that alone. But shouts out Prince X. Hey, and thank y'all YouTube for checking in and for logging in. He says Pacers in 7. The league would love that. Because I think I think the viewership will, if it gets to a game 6 and a game 7, I think that it'll start to be a groundswell of viewership. Now,
if it's a game 7, it definitely will.
Yeah. Back to our original point to top the show, and then we're going to get out of here. We're not saying that these are the worst two teams to play. We're saying that from a market standpoint, don't no casual fan give a damn about OKC versus Indiana. Not when you got all these streaming devices, not when you got other things to do. It's nice out. It doesn't get dark until 9 o'clock here in Texas now. People are on the boat, people are golfing, people are out doing their thug thizzle. The Mavs are gone, the Stars are gone, the Rangers are in the cellar. We got other stuff to do down here. And I think your daughter said it best. She was watching Love Island.
I mean, it could be Portland and Orlando.
Tasha, speaking of bullying, I mean, y'all just chatting. Shouts out Danny Anderson. I mean, that's what we do on a podcast. I wonder if these are OKC fans or maybe or Indiana fans.
I like how he tried to say chatting instead of we just bumping our gums or just talking.
Y'all just bumping your gums. We're just chatting. Hey, it's just a little chit chat, Tasha. And thank all of you for checking us out on YouTube today. Tasha, who are you shouting out today?
I am shouting out one Mr. Allen Iverson. Today, Allen Iverson joins a prestigious club. He's the Big 5-0 today.
Yeah, another one hitting that golden. And another one.
And I would like to shout out to Coco Gauff. She's up right now 2-1, and she's serving 40-30. And if she gets this point, she could go up 3-1 in the second set because she needs this set.
She needs this set. Like, I want to give a shout out for YouTube for showing up and checking in with us today. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. I want to send a shout out to AP Culture and for all of the kids that are starting their summer training with football. It's football training season coming back. So with the Una Bears and the Bordeaux Eagles and everybody that's starting back football season, let's do that. Look, I'm going to be like that in just a couple of hours when I take my nap. Like, what's your two predictions? Hey, so great question, and we'll close with this. I have the Thunder in 6. Tasha?
I'm gonna say the Thunder in 5. I agree with Jarrell.
Yeah, that might be the wake up call.
I don't.
Well, Halliburton is. I'm never gonna count him out.
Like I said, my guy that works for OKC, he said it was like a deflated balloon. He said they were sitting in that arena looking like some hanging nut sacks.
Shouts out to
that's my boy Will Johnson.
Having to walk like what's that guy's name? Vince McMahon down the thing when they get stuck to your leg in this Texas heat.
He said, Tasha, he said, you have no idea. He said we were hyped, ready for game 2.
Yeah.
He said, then all of a sudden, he said the air just came out of the building.
Man, look, OKC, if you're not up by 30 with 2 minutes left to go in the game, you got smoked with this Indiana team. And shouts out to Rick Carlisle. He's doing a hell of a job. He is coaching circles around his opponents in these playoffs.
You said Vince McMahon. I'm mad at you for doing the Vince McMahon.
You sent it to me, actually. So we will see y'all next week. Hopefully, because they stretching these games out so far. The NBA Finals will probably still be going on. Now he says Halliburton got even more confident. He does. And he done brought back the light skinned folk after Drake took that L to Kendrick. So so Yellow Boys are up. They trying to. We'll see how that all turns out. Y'all have a great weekend. We'll see y'all in 6 days and 23 hours. Until then, T-Sizzle.
Vamos Azul.
We'll see you. Peace.